Yeah, hi there. These comments are for J.E. and I am Michael, the founder owner and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. So here we go. We have a couple of things going on in this video right now. First of all, you submitted or completed the final pronunciation post-test in this course. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to it. I'll give you some comments and let you know any final things that you need to do to continue to improve your pronunciation of American English. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to the post-test. Where is it? Right here. And I'll be taking some notes as we go, and I might stop the video from time to time to give you some feedback. Okay, let's listen to your paragraph reading and then your responses to Part B, personal experience questions.
Exercise number 48. First paragraph.
All right.
When two people are talking to each other, they tend to stand a specific distance apart. Each person has an invisible boundary around his or her body into which other people may not come.
Good.
If someone pierces this boundary, she or he will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them.
Perfect.
The major exception is family members and other loved ones.
Instead of the word major, the major exception.
This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is at odds with the relationship to the other individual.
Okay, the one thing you can probably work on is blending. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but let's look at the last sentence. Let me read it for you. This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness, now here's the blending, because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is at odds with the relationship to the other individual.
Second paragraph. Interestingly, the various personal distance varies from...
No, you want to say the average. The average personal distance, so you mispronounced that one word, average.
From culture to culture.
You say culture to culture. Not cool. That's cool. You're thinking of cultura, but culture.
Americans tend to require more personal space than in other cultures.
Okay.
Therefore, if you try to get too close to an American during your conversation, he or she will feel that you are...
Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
...his face, and will try to back away. Try to be aware of this.
Okay.
So, if the person to whom you are speaking backs away a little, don't try to close the gap.
I like that. That's blending. Backs away a little. You did use blending near the end of that paragraph, so that's a good sign.
Third paragraph.
No, third paragraph. You didn't quite pronounce that. Third.
Also try to avoid physical contact while you are speaking, since this may also lead to discomfort. Touching is a bit too intimate for casual acquaintances.
Okay.
So don't put your arm around his or her shoulder. Don't touch his or her face or hold his or her hand. Shaking hands when you initially meet or part is acceptable, but this is only momentary.
Okay.
Second part. Questions.
All right.
First, who is your best friend and why is this person important to you?
Okay.
Use supporting examples. My best friend is a priest from Los Angeles, California. He grew up with me during the seminary.
Okay.
I'm younger than him, but
Be careful, I am not younger, but I am younger than him. Younger. So you're pronouncing the Y kind of like you do it in Spanish, so be careful about that.
I have a year more as priest than he.
I have a year, not year more, but a year more.
He's always there for listening and counseling. The other day I was feeling down because I experienced a conflict in my parish, and he listened to me conversation attentively. He offered me a valuable advice.
The V, valuable. Not valuable, but valuable advice.
And finally, he told me that it will be his prayers. And I felt consoled.
There would be what?
And finally, he told me that it will be his prayers.
That I'm having some trouble with. That's kind of weird. I can understand everything you're saying, but that one word I can't quite get. Hold on a minute.
And finally, he told me that it will be his prayers.
He told me that there would be something years, so I apologize. I know it's a simple word, but there's something you're doing with the word, probably a word stress shift that's making it hard for me to figure it out.
And I felt consoled and with reassurance.
How about this? I felt consoled or comforted
after my meeting with him.
Okay. You're intelligible pretty much, 99%. So the good news is I can understand most of what you're saying. So you've developed, I think, a very good level of speaking abilities.
Second, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now.
What would you be doing? Be sure to explain your
What will you be doing?
Ideas with supporting details. I'm thinking to move back to Mexico.
Okay.
My mother is a strong lady, but she is suffering of bad blood circulation in her legs. She barely walks. So I want to be at her side and offer her my total support.
Okay.
Maybe I move to the parish closest to home.
You might say maybe I might move to the parish closer to home. So I would put the word might in there to show that possibility.
To continue my ministry in the community.
And then say not me, but ministry. Okay, I'm just taking down some notes.
She knows me very well since I was on. Since I was under service there when I was 7 years old.
7 years old. Now, if you say when I was 7 years old, you have to put S on it, right? Or you can say I was a 7-year-old boy. So when you put 7-year-old before a noun, it becomes an adjective, and we don't make adjectives plural in English. But when you're not making it an adjective, you're making more of a noun, then you do need to put S on it. Let me give you another example. I could say the student is 23 years old, or that is a 23-year-old student with no S. Year-old student.
3. What is your favorite season of the year? Fall, winter, spring, or summer?
Okay.
Be as specific as possible. I like the winter, but I dislike the festivities and holidays during this season. I prefer to spend time reading a good book, seated in a warm room, than go outside, visit my friends, and participate in dinners and parties. I hope for a closing of year, cold in the weather, and rich in solitude.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now we got to look at a couple of things here. First of all, what is your intelligibility score? So I noticed you do sometimes have some verb tense issues, and particularly You're not always sure when to use the simple present tense and how to use that, as opposed to using the past tense, or how to use words like I might go, or I could go, or I will go. So you don't have total control over your verb tenses yet, to be honest with you. Not totally. But the good thing is you can communicate. You communicate rather effectively. I can understand pretty much 99.9% of everything you're saying. Now, I will put a link into this email so you can understand more about your intelligibility score, but just in a nutshell, 1 would be the lowest score you can get, which is a high beginner of American English, and then 7 is what we call a native speaker. So I'm going to put you in the 4 area. So if we, how am I going to do this? Let me think here. Let me look. So I'm going to put you at about 4.3 out of 7. So this is called high intermediate level. And because of some problems with certain types of verbs and words, you didn't have total control over things. I didn't put you in the 5 area because to get 5 on my scale, it says a speaker has a barely detectable accent. You have rare isolated mispronunciations, but no evident patterns of error. The student uses extensive vocabulary and so on. So you're almost there, but not quite. Okay, so your score again is 4.3 out of 7. Now, in the second thing now is we need to go back to my course. I'm going to review certain lessons that I think you can benefit from. I think you should study a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to say speak clearly lesson number 11, especially the beat, bit, heat, hit. The is sound, that vowel sound, you need to work on a little bit more. Also, lesson number 12, the Luke, crumbs, and could. You haven't mastered that U. The U vowel has 3 possible pronunciations, or even 4 really, if you consider the schwa also. But I'd like you to work on that lesson a little bit more. Also, the V. Remember we talked about that. That's speak clearly lesson number 14, especially focusing on the V consonant sound when it's in the beginning of a word. I think you can work on improving that in order to reduce your non-native speaker accent a little bit more. Okay, now let's get into the second part of the pronunciation area of my course. I think word stress, lesson number 29, 30, 31, 32. Also, intonation. You need to work on varying your intonation more than you're doing. So that's pronunciation lesson number 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. Finally, I think you can work on what's called thought groups and blending. And that's pronunciation lessons 41, 42, 43, and 44. Now, I'm not saying that you don't blend at all. I'm saying that you can improve your blending abilities of American English in order to sound more natural. So I think that will also be helpful to you. Alright, so those are some of my comments. So I gave you an intelligibility score. I went over some things that you can do in the long term to continue to improve your pronunciation. Now, in addition to that, you also completed, it looks like, an independent speaking task. So we're going to take a look at this right now, too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Download it. Okay, here we go.
Exercise of free choice and parent choice speaking. I choose the topic number.
I would say not I choose, say I chose, or I will choose topic number. That's what I'm talking about before. We're talking about verb tenses. You're not 100% comfortable using the right verb tense to explain your idea. So I'd like you to review, if you go to Google, type in, here's some keywords for you. Using the simple present tense in English, how do you use it? And how is that different from the past or the future or any other of the verb tenses?
39. What do you
Be careful, 39. I think that brings me to one more lesson I'd like you to take a look at. Write this one down too. A pronunciation lesson number 24, the TH consonant sound.
think is more interesting to you? Listening to the popular singer at a concert or going to the comedy show? Give reason.
It's comedy show.
Some examples to support your response. Well, I think it's better for the learning of this language going to the comedy show.
No, it's better to go to the comedy show, not going to the comedy show. So that's a problem with what I call gerunds and infinitives. So if you go to the grammar part of my course, I want you to take a look at the lesson. I can't remember the number right now, but it's a grammar lesson called gerunds and infinitives.
Because you hear a lot of jokes.
I wouldn't say because you hear, I'd say because I will hear a lot of jokes. So keep things focused on that first person singular point of view. It's I, right? Not you. You're not talking directly to your audience here. You're answering a question based on your own personal experience. So the I, the me, the my, the mine, those particular pronouns I think will be more appropriate in answering this kind of question.
But maybe I can apply to my homilies later during Sundays.
Okay.
Because you are receiving
Because I am receiving, not because you are receiving.
like a collection of sayings and thoughts about how the world is right now from the perspective of somebody who is not taking seriously nothing. And sometimes we need to take our lives easy without complications and from a fresh approach. And I think so that during the concert,
Try to put an example in there. Make it more personal. So to really answer this kind of a question, you need some specific examples to help support your ideas. Give me 1 second. Come on, give me some. I'm almost done. Okay, so I think a personal example in there would, I think, help illustrate the point you're trying to make.
if we enjoy the band and sing their songs, maybe help us
Now let me listen to what you just said there. Hold on 1 second here. Let me go back a little bit.
songs. Maybe help us phonetically, but that has no influence in the way we are thinking and the way we read the sign of the times.
Okay. Okay, so I think with your speaking right now, you got to work on organizing things a little bit better. You can do that by using what's called transition words to help your audience understand the connection of your ideas. I do have a good lesson in the speaking part of my course. It's speaking lesson number 7. It'll give you some good tips on how you can make your speaking more coherent, and I think that would be helpful for your congregation also. So another thing is the specific details. You need more details to help, I think, explain the ideas that you're saying, and that helps make what you're saying more interesting. Now, as I pointed out also, you have some language use issues in this. So you need to work, for example, understanding how to use your verb tenses a little bit more accurately. You also had some problems with what's called gerunds versus infinitives. You can study those things in the grammar part of my course. But anyway, thank you for completing the independent speaking practice test. Thank you for being a student this quarter here at California State University, San Bernardino. And thank you for your service. I know that you are a Catholic priest, that you're doing a lot of good in the San Bernardino area, so thank you for that, and have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.